interesting venue. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm so full of potatoes. I'm not kidding. I just ate like so many, what is it? Cheddar and onion? Cheese and onion?
Cheese and onion crisps, is it?
They're really good. But my breath is terrible right now. I'm sorry, microphone. They're really good, though. What is that like a famous flavor in Ireland?
It is like if it was a Tato crisps that you had in particular.
Yeah, crisps.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tato is probably like an Irish staple to the point that we would actually make sandwiches with Tato crisps.
Wait, as the bread?
Not as the bread, as a filling.
Wait, tell me more.
Tell
me more.
We'll get to the actual questions now in a second, folks.
Yeah, we'll get to you guys. Come on.
I think
more
this is important to teach you how to make a Tato sandwich. Don't you agree?
I've never heard of potatoes on a sandwich, but that seems like a very Irish thing to do. To put potatoes on literally anything you can, right?
Yeah. So you get a sliced white pan. You put some butter on it.
Butter.
Preferably like real butter, like something like Kerrygold or something like that.
Kerrygold is. I buy Kerrygold. That's my bread. That's my butter.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is why we like her.
I know.
And then you just basically take the packet of crisps, put as many of them on the slice of bread as you can, and then take another slice of bread, butter it, put it on top, cut it in half,
I'm sorry.
and then eat it.
There's nothing else?
Yeah.
Wait.
Ooh, hang on.
Back it
Did someone
up.
say mayonnaise? Did I hear that?
Mayonnaise? Uh-oh.
Good. I thought I was hearing. I'm so glad I was hearing things. I was like, who
You
puts
guys like to
mayonnaise
fight,
on a
right?
Tato sandwich?
So don't start fighting over potato sandwich.
We're a very, very passionate bunch about our Tato sandwiches. It's a very particular thing. I forget who it was, but someone was over visiting, and they were like trying to make one on their Instagram or something like that, and we were just like, no. Oh, do you know what? It was someone making it with Walker's crisps. That's what it was.
Ooh, no, people got really mad. Ooh, boo.
Yeah.
Wow, the passion. The passion. And so you guys love Bud Light, right? Is that also something that you guys love? I've never seen a Guinness sign. Okay, this is a true story. I was walking around a couple days. I've been here. And that harp, I was like, oh, wow, Guinness is literally everywhere. Like, it's even, I think there's one outside the McDonald's. Like, I've never seen more signs for Guinness. And then I was walking around and I saw some, like, state government buildings. So it was like the head of transportation or whatever, and the same harp was there. And I was like, does Guinness own the country? Because the logo was on everything.
Guinness is technically older than the Republic of Ireland.
So basically, Guinness does own the country.
Yes, and here's a fun fact for you then. And I'm wondering how many other people know this. Guinness actually owns the copyright for the harp, and that is why for government buildings the harp is actually facing the other way.
It's
because
reversed?
when the Irish government tried to copyright it, Guinness already had the copyright. The only way they could get around it to use it as a symbol for the country was to switch it around.
What?
Please tell me somebody else knew that. That is not as many hands up as I had hoped. But yeah, and I know that because I used to work in Guinness, and that was one of the things that we were told.
Oh, so you know some secrets? Do you have more secrets about Guinness?
I have lots of secrets. What do you want to know?
I mean, I'm going to admit something to you that might turn everybody away and they might leave, okay? I've only had one sip of beer ever, and it was Guinness, and I got a little bit sick. I'm so sorry. It just felt like I was drinking bread. And I just couldn't acclimate myself. I can tell you exactly
what went wrong is because you sipped it.
Oh.
One of the reasons we would always say, so one of the jobs that I actually did when I worked there was I was in the tasting rooms, and they always say never sip a Guinness because you won't actually get past the head of it. You actually need to get like that proper Guinness mustache.
That was the problem. So I have to gulp it?
Yeah, nice big mouthful.
Okay, I'm going to try it while I'm here because I think any restaurant will have Guinness. Like literally any restaurant will have it.
I can give you a list of the good Guinnesses.
Okay, good. This is good. I'm in good hands. I still don't understand this potato chip sandwich, but okay. Butter and chips and bread. I was like, this is what I was prepared for. I was prepared for, okay, we have a slice of bread, we have some butter, we have some chips, then we have some ham, lettuce, maybe a tomato, but no, it's just plain. It's like
carbs on carbs.
Okay, well, I'm from Alabama, and we have a Cheeto sandwich.
Wait, then you can't talk.
I'm just kidding. I've never heard that, but actually it sounds delicious.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Cheeto sandwich because they are just so massive.
Oh, sure, it's crunchy. I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with Cheetos. Like, Chinese chicken salad?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put some Cheetos in there instead of the wonton things. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we should have like our own cooking show.
We should. A trashy cooking show.
With the side of Guinness.
Exactly, with the side of Guinness. And then the mustache just right there. Anyway, you probably have other questions, don't you?
Yeah, we can get into the other questions now, but like I was looking at your resume, which is just
Too long. I'm sorry.
it's not too long at all.
Too long.
It is so admirable. Like it is one of
you.
those things of when we had been trying to get you to come to the show for so long.
I know, and I was just I had took COVID to put some big brakes on my life to be like, why don't you do the things you really want to do, which is one of them. Come here. I really appreciate the invitation, and it's been so lovely.
Yeah, because it's one of the things of we would basically say it's like you are like the geek queen. Like everything that you have done is something that I think fits into the culture, the community, and things like that. So just to say, just from the start, like thank you for coming because
Thank
it is
you.
just.
Aw, thank
She
you
is.
so much.
She really is.
I appreciate it, you guys. That really means so much. Thank you.
And like in a lot of your work, it's been you were a trailblazer for web series. Let's just put it out there. Like the Guild was the web series that everybody hoped their web series could be.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sorry. Turns out web series. Well, I mean, I kind of always knew that Hollywood would take over video on the web. I just didn't. I thought that maybe there'd be other success. I mean, there were a lot of success stories, but I think in the eyes of Hollywood, unless you turned it into a TV show on their platforms, it wasn't really legitimate. I mean, it's so weird. The Guild never got optioned. You know, Hollywood never really wanted to have much to do with it. I was always confused, but I think unless you're in their world of success, then you don't exist. And I'm just so grateful that I got to tell a story that they would never tell my own way and with the support of the fans. I've sold many TV shows or tried to sell a lot of TV shows about geek women, about geek girls, about geekdom in general. And nothing has ever either gotten sold or it never got made because I genuinely think that the people who buy things and the people who make TV, they don't care about geeks. They really don't. They don't understand them, and unless it's a genre piece, they don't really want to see the lives of geek people, you know, people who love geek things. And yeah, it's kind of broken my heart over the years, but at the end of the day, I always know that I can make my own stuff and release it directly to my audience. And you know, however big or small it is, I'm making what is close to my heart and I think deserves to be represented. And so that's the power in what I get to do. I do it on a smaller scale than Hollywood, but I really am gratified that I could do it my way.
100%, and it is actually just so important to have that kind of representation because as much as being a geek is so much more popular these days than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And I think with things like the Guild, I think it was just probably just ahead of its time in a way.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. And I mean, it was also just, you know, I was kind of arrogant in that I just was like, I need to represent who I am to the world. I need to show the world that we exist. And this is because I think, you know, especially always playing the weird character who always just has a walk on and the main people are always making fun of the characters that I would play and being an outsider. And I was like, you know what? I have a life of my own. I'm not just a secondary character in this mainstream blonde girl's life or whatever. And it's, you know, the same thing happens now. I have a 5-year-old and my life has changed quite a bit having a child. And the other day she asked me, Mama, why are women always the bad guys in fairy tales? And I said, what? And I kind of thought about it. I was like, yeah. In a lot of fairy tales, especially ones that are kind of celebrated, you know, the bad guy is a witch or a stepmother or an older woman who's trying to take away the agency of a younger woman. And I'm like, I didn't realize that. You know, I didn't really add it up. And I told her, I was like, well, I think these are stories that are mostly probably created by men who want to teach women that, you know, they shouldn't look to mentors and women as to inspire them so they'll be more in their control. And then she looked at me and was like, what? I was like, women should help women. But it also is just kind of endemic, you know, to society that the same stories are told over and over again so society can be, you know, have their standard of what is beautiful, what is mainstream, what is acceptable behavior, what is accepted as, you know, being a man or a woman or any, you know, person. And I feel like, to me, I've always wanted to bust those stereotypes up because I see a world that is much more interesting and layered and nuanced. And if you see that on screen, you become a little bit more inspired to follow something in your heart that might not be out there. Anyway, that was a really long answer, sorry.
Yes, but I was mesmerized as you were giving it because it is something that I think, especially like women and especially women in the community, like the geek community and things like that, is that yes, we just want more representation, girl power, things like that. Like, I know the Spice Girls said it years ago, but it's only kind of coming up now that that's really becoming apparent.
And the difference in conventions is like so. Like when I started doing conventions, like 10, 12, I mean more than 12 years ago, that was my 12th Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con I did last week, a couple weeks ago. And the difference in the kind of people, the young people, the kind of, I mean, anime is so huge compared to what it was. And the number of girls and trans, it's so heartening to see that the world of geekdom is so diverse and can pull so many voices in. And it's, it's something that I feel people just complicate too much. It's just more people who love what you love, and that way the artist can make more of it. And that's, at the end of the day, all I care about is making art.
Exactly. And one of the things that you've been doing recently is something that I think just goes to show just how in depth that people want to go into in certain shows is the after show specials with Netflix, with The Witcher and Stranger Things. And it was just like the minute it was announced that there was going to be these episodic things on YouTube and it was going to be hosted by Felicia Day, and I went, yes.
Thank you.
That is correct. Because it is the thing. It's like, I couldn't imagine anybody else hosting a show like that, because you cover such a wide variety of what falls under the geek umbrella. So like The Witcher would be like from the books and gaming sort of inspired for TV. And then Stranger Things, of course, has like the tabletop gaming. And I came dressed appropriately for this conversation.
You did. I like your shirt. I very like your shirt.
So for that, it was just like, yes, this is what I would say is like this. You were the perfect person for the job.
Thank you.
So how did that come about? How did they approach you with it?
It was because I started doing a podcast with my friend Tom Lank. I don't know if any of you watch Buffy. Yeah. Big Buffy fans. Yeah, my friend Tom Lank, who played Andrew, he and I during COVID were bored and we just loved Bridgerton. And we decided to do like a recap show of Bridgerton just because I was tired of just texting him about the episodes. And I was like, let's just record it. And it's like, we don't have a sponsor. We just do it ourselves. And it's just very fun. But then we finished Bridgerton, and then Bridgerton wasn't out again for a while. And I was like, well, I really want to watch The Witcher with you because I watched it already and I want to review these episodes and I love it. And I think you'll love it too. And so we did that. And I think that they heard that I did that show and they listened to it and they were like, oh, you're the perfect person to do The Witcher. And it was so fun. Many years ago, Chris Hardwick was very big and I kept getting Hollywood offers to do kind of hosting stuff. And I resisted it a lot because I just wanted to create things and kind of do more acting than hosting. And now, like even, 10 years later, like you could do anything you want. Like you can host, you can act as well. And I was so grateful to be approached, and I just genuinely love it. Like I'm not a host. I just really genuinely want to listen to the stories of the artists and the stories from the showrunners and see how, they really, when you have source material like we all love, it's really hard to adapt it and please the old fans and new. I did a hosting thing at Comic Con for Lord of the Rings, and boy, do we have some passionate fans in that fan base. And like, I mean, I totally understand it, but you have to kind of think of it from all points of view, right? You can be a person who knows the literal map of everything, and then you could be a person who just knows that there's an elf and what's a hobbit, So it's a hard thing for a showrunner to sort of like thread that needle of pleasing the people who are so hardcore and then pleasing people who are new to it, but you don't want to exclude them. And that's always been my passion. Like with the shows that I made, I had a company named Geek and Sundry, and I left it when I had a baby because there were just many circumstances I can't go into that were very stressful on me. But we did make a bunch of shows that I was so proud of because I love tabletop games, but I was only introduced to them because my friend Will Wheaton would show me the games, and I was intimidated to get into them. And that show Tabletop came about because I just wanted to spread the love of board games to people. Same thing with Magic the Gathering. We did a show there, and I love Magic the Gathering, but again, as a kid I was intimidated to get into it, so I wanted to show people how to play. Same thing with Critical Role. I wanted to make D&D accessible to people. And so all these shows came about because I have a passion for something, but there were no like training wheel shows to get people into it. And I'm not going to claim all the credit for getting people into all these things, but hopefully we helped spread word that these are really fulfilling things to have in your life. You could do with your friends, and they could change your life for the better. And that's always my goal in producing something or acting in something or hosting or whatever.
One of my favorite clips actually from one of the after shows was when Henry Cavill was trying to explain Warhammer and she's laughing because she knows where I'm going with this. But it was one of those things where like everybody else was just like blank face, and you're just like, yeah, he's making sense. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, come on, like you all need to come and play. Like from the outside looking in, when he was trying to do that, were you just like, oh, dude, you're like talking to a brick wall down the line kind of thing? Because some of them just were not getting it. It was just so adorable.
I thought Danny. No, he was into it.
Oh, yeah,
The
Henry
actor
is.
did
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, the girls were not so into it. They were like, "What? Oh, he's going on about it," which I love. You know, I think that's so funny. The same thing. I had the Stranger Things interview. Like I was the one who, when we were going over, I'm very hands-on. So if I agree to do something, I'm like, let's go through the script, let's add some. And I was like, well, we're doing a geeked show. Why don't we ask what they geek out over? And I was so happy that that paid off. It actually paid off again in the Stranger Things interview I did with David Harbour. And here's a true story. I was kind of nervous about that because Winona Ryder was there, and she was like my hero as a kid, you know, like, but he came up to me and he was like, I freaking love the Guild. Like he just walked right up to me and he said that. He's like, I have your song on my phone right now. And I was like, what? And so I asked him a question about WoW, and it turned out to be the best clip of that interview because he was like, yeah, I used to play WoW really hardcore because I was an unemployed actor and I couldn't work. And I was playing also, and I was raiding, but I was also playing The Sims, and I created a character that was addicted to video. He was an actor, and the actor in the game, The Sims, couldn't get jobs, so he became addicted to video games in the game. And Winona Ryder's going like, what? Like she had no idea what was going on. It was the funniest thing that ever happened, and it was such a wonderful moment. And like that's what makes hosting fun. I'm not there just to like sell a show. I'm there to like, you know, hopefully just get people to enjoy something in a way that they would enjoy before. And yeah, it's really fun. Thank you for asking about it.
No, I love the series, and it's so funny when just like you're so passionate, and like especially like the way that your career has gone. And I was going back, and I was just like, how did you get started? And I was like, oh, your degree is actually in something that is not necessarily arts related. And hilariously, same here. So your degree is in mathematics, am I right?
I did. I have a math degree. What is your degree in?
My degree is in chemistry.
Wow. Oh my God, we're so hot. We really are. You know, I got a degree in math because I really like math. And my dad said I had to get a real degree before I went to be an actor.
Same.
So I aggressively I was like, real degree? What about this, Dad? 4.0. Group theory. Eat it. Bye. You know, like it was pretty funny. I mean, I wouldn't say that it served me. And here's the irony, guys. I'm terrible at finances. Like I'm never in debt because I'm paranoid about, I came from a very poor family, so I'm never in debt. But like my financial planning is little to none, right? I mean, and that's ironic, but I never in my math, I never took like a statistics course. I always avoided that. I only did theoretical math where you don't actually work with numbers. You're only working with letters. So I don't know. I don't know what I did with this life, but I'm still doing it. It's fine.
Is it true actually that you turned down a place in Juilliard to go and do the math
I was
course?
offered a play because I was a violinist. I was homeschooled, so all I did was I was so bored. I played video games and played the violin, okay? So it wasn't, you know, I practiced a lot. I was offered a slot in the pre-program, which is basically a feeder school for Juilliard, and we could not afford, because I said my dad was in the military, we were very poor, and we couldn't afford to move to New York to go because it was like a weekend thing. And so, yeah, it's fine, you know, like I think everybody is, I wrote a book called Embrace Your Weird, and a lot of it is about kind of surveying who you are and doing little exercises about your past to kind of open up your present creativity. And in writing that book, I kind of was like, oh, you can't really look at anything in the past as something to regret because there's so much right now that wouldn't exist in your life if even one little thing was changed in the past. So you could just kind of learn from it and be like, oh, okay, I did it. Am I happy with that decision? What made me do it? Let's not do that again or do it again. You know, like opening a savings account and not leaving all your money in the checking account. Nobody taught me. That wasn't that a good idea.
Well, do you know what? I could sit here chatting to you all day, but I know everybody is probably like chomping at
Who
the
has a
bit,
question?
waiting to ask a question. So we have a mic on either side here.
Who's going to teach me
people
about
wanna line up, and then we will do like a one and a one and a one and a one.
more Irish food? I had a Victorian sponge cake yesterday that was probably the most delicious cake I've ever had.
Oh, we make very good sponge cakes, I have
Yeah,
to say.
the sponge cake was, well, I'm obsessed with British baking show, which I don't know how many Irish people get into that.
Do you know, but Bake Off is pretty big here, isn't it? Yeah.
Is Bake Off big here? It's probably my favorite show in existence. Although I really like the pottery throwdown one. Do you guys love that one?
We do.
My brother, there's one here. I guess there's a sewing bee one. Is there one here that's a sewing bee?
The Great British Sewing Bee, yeah.
Yeah, it's not
hosted by
available
Joe
in the
Lycett, I think?
It's not available in the States. My brother downloaded it. And I was like, are you kidding? You're risking your life to watch a sewing bee show? Okay. He's like, I only watched one episode. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
I know, they're all great. Right, we'll take first question on this side.
Hello there.
Hello.
I'm a very big fan of Supernatural and every episode with Shirley, and so it just means a lot to me.
What do you think about Supernatural?
No, it's like Supernatural is a very big show for me. I love it so much, and your character is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Like, what was your favorite personal Charlie moment?
My favorite personal Charlie moment was wearing that LARPing outfit.
Yes.
Because it was such a good episode, and I just loved it. Was just kind of the height of everything. I was also like, I was so fit because I was like on a weird kale diet, and so my leather pants fit perfectly. You look back and you're like, wow, you look good. Okay, you just have to acknowledge it sometimes. I look good, and I think in that LARPing outfit, I was like, I think I'm the hottest that I've ever been. In those leather pants. Yeah, it was just wonderful. And it was just a wonderful set. And everybody really cared about representing LARPing in an authentic way, which I really respect. And the sets were so cool. I kissed a fairy. Like, what more do I do this for? Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Awesome, we're going to go this side now.
How do you put this down?
Oh, it's too tall.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Hello, I just want to say again, thank you for coming to Dublin. I've been looking forward to meeting you for a while.
Thank you.
And if you ever came to Scotland, you'd be revered.
I ate a lot of scones. Is that what you're asking about?
No, no.
He's Scottish.
Oh, you're Scottish.
I'm Scottish.
Was that right, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he asked me about scones. I know you're Scottish. I can see that far, kind of.
So I'm a big Supernatural and a Eureka fan as well.
Thank you.
And I loved you in both. So I just have just two questions, them really quick ones. First of all, in Eureka, when you got the scripts and you had to go through all the technical and science jargon and all that, how much of that did you actually understand?
Oh, all the technical jargon?
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that I have scientists in my family. So, and I have a math degree, I have a math degree. So for me, and my dad's a doctor, and my mom was a biochemist, and my grandfather was a physicist. And, I have mostly scientists in my family. And so doing technical jargon of that kind is super easy for me. I have had a lot of trouble in the past doing auditions for legal shows, like, court things, because I cannot remember any of that stuff. Like Darius Stacey's, and I'm like, I can't pronounce the Latin. I don't know how to be confident in front of people, and that's not good for lawyers unless you're Ally McBeal. Like that's the one show in history where an unconfident lawyer was okay. Anyway, so those I could never remember that stuff, but all the technical jargon. That's why people hire me. That I can do all, because the regular actors are so tired all the time because they're on set. So the guest stars get most of the dialogue. And then the main characters are like, looks good. Let's go. Stop it. That kind of. So like, if you'll notice that they always give most of the technical dialogue to people who don't work all the time because they have the time to learn those lines, and they're not tired all the time and doing all fancy press stuff. So I'm grateful for it because I love learning dialogue. I love representing really smart, nerdy characters. And yeah, like I said, it's easy for me to remember that stuff, but don't ask me to be a lawyer ever. Thank you.
And just the other question was, I know you were a guest star on Supernatural at first, and then they promoted you to stay on. And I know that happens very often, like with cast and all that. They just decided the fans love you. So what was it like when they asked you to come back to do more because we all loved you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, for Supernatural and Eureka, I was only supposed to do one episode. I was like a guest star. And the fact that they bring you back is just such a blessing. Like,
I mean, it's always what you hope. When you get onto a set, it's very lonely and you feel very out of place and you don't want to mess up. It's like being the new kid at school every day when you're on a new set. And all you want to do is belong and be comfortable and do your best work as you're comfortable. And the wonderful thing about Supernatural is that, and Eureka, like they were just wonderful sets to be on. And so
it was great.
It was so
Flattering,
flattering.
and especially Supernatural was a refuge for me because I was running a company and I was getting away from being an artist because I was doing more behind the scenes, and it was just really tough on me. And being able to be an actor on that set was really the highlights of those years. So, yeah, thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we're back over here.
First of all, love The Guild, one of my favorite web series ever.
Thank you.
I've watched it over and over again. I have a two-part question. First of all, spawned out of The Guild, you made several music videos. So my first question is, which one was your favorite? And my second question would be, how did the song Gamer Girl and Country Boy come about?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did many songs, and I kind of regret not doing more because it was so fun. My favorite was Date My Avatar because I wrote that song when I was writing the season, and I loved cheesy dance music, and I wanted to be a superhero, but I knew that I'll never be hired as a superhero because I didn't look like other actresses. I was too quirky. I wasn't perfect enough. And I was like, I'm going to write my own superhero. And so that's how that kind of came about. And it was so wonderful to write a song and have Jed Whedon, who co-wrote Dr. Horrible. He wrote the song to that, and I wrote the lyrics. And having that happen, it was just such a blessing. Country Girl, Gamer Girl, Country Girl was a song. I was doing a show called The Flog, and we shot it with no money, like 50 episodes in a month. It was the worst experience of my life, but we didn't have money. We had so much content we had to make for YouTube with Geek and Sundry the first year. It broke me. It really did, mentally and physically. But I planned out all 50 episodes. I was like, I have to do a music video or two because it's my favorite. And thank goodness I know my friend. I was like, I've never seen a country gamer, song before. And we just came up with it. It was the worst experience of my life because I know a lot of people love that song, and that's great. But like 4chan got a hold of it and it made it like literally a weapon of mass destruction against me. And it was very traumatic for me because the hate, and they doxed me like over that song because I had given them something to make fun of me instead of because I was very smart. Like I understood that, especially back then, there was sort of that Gamergate kind of quality to some parts of the internet, but it was just brewing. And I knew that as a woman, you have to be very razor thin careful about how you present yourself online, which is really unfortunate, And so I was really careful about, the things that I did up until then. And because I said gamer girl, I had never called myself a gamer girl. And because I said gamer girl in that thing, they jumped on it and used it as an example of me being fake and inauthentic. And there's thousands of people who are really awful to me. And looking back on that time, I realized I had PTSD because of that and the thing that happened later with Gamergate about standing up to what was happening and the being attacked and having people follow me and game companies not hire me after that because I was too controversial for just saying people should be nice to people. It was a really traumatic thing. And now I'm like, I think people nowadays just kind of put up with this sort of abuse online that we should never have accepted in the first place. We should be able to protect ourselves. It's as emotionally bruising and hurtful to be bullied online as it is to your face. In fact, it's harder because they don't know who these people are. You don't know how imbalanced they are. It's sad. It's sad, and especially women have to sort of walk this weird line of, if you look really pretty, you get more likes, but if you're too pretty, then you get hated on. And it's just it's hard. And I really feel sorry for especially young girls who are just trying to get their identity out there and who they are and representing themselves, and having to have this be a constant consideration in this world that we live in online. And so anyway, I'm here for you, and just be who you are and just block whoever bothers you. All right, shut the door on them. That's all I can say.
So it's almost like that was like you were being trolled before there was a word for trolling, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was being, it was more just like the mass bullying of it, right? And you know, online, if 100 people come up to you and say how much you suck, like it's terrible. It's really really unfortunate. And yeah, it's hard to, and at the time I had a company, and even the platforms didn't give me the tools to block people. And I had a company that needed to have as many clicks as possible, so I didn't want to risk my company by even trying to ban people. And so I, you know, as a performer, you're just like, what can I do to please everybody? And you get so careful. And that's why I didn't write for like 5 years, because I was so traumatized that what I would do would trigger people or be unpopular. Like it was very psychologically hard. And I'm not saying I'm the most psychologically resolute person. Like, you know, I'm a very sensitive person. But at the same time, having kids grow up in that environment, especially in teens, and having all these judgments on you, and you know, not having a safe space to just be yourself, like that is really important to find who you are, to be able to mess up a little bit. And we don't really have that nowadays.
No, we definitely don't. Next question over here.
Hello.
Hi.
With all the celebrities you have met over the years of yourself, like doing the geekdom for like Netflix and all that, like talking to like Neil Gaiman and all that crew, and like doing The Witcher, Henry Cavill, and having friends with Will Wheaton, that is amazing.
He's okay.
It's just showing like everyone how you can be normal, and everyone is normal. And what you were like, just coming off what you were saying there, 100%. Like when I was younger, there was nothing like that. There was not really much internet then as well.
Yeah.
And just be yourself. That's how.
No, I appreciate that a lot. You know, the problem is, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but like the older I get, I realize that, a lot of it is very conditional. The popularity you have, the likes that you get, it's all very conditional on your looks. And so as a woman, especially, like, you know, I want to share the thing that I worked 6 months on, that I love the piece of art, and I'll get a certain number of clicks. But if I post a picture in a bikini, it's going to be 10 times of that. And I'm not saying it's just men, it's men and women. We are kind of conditioned to reinforce this sort of fantasy of what women should look like, and what people want to see. It's almost like eating candy all the time, right? But that isn't what that person is. Like, none of people have filters on. They have like 10 people making them look good. They don't look like that every day. And if they do, that's their full-time job, and it takes thousands of dollars a day to maintain that. And yet we're sitting there eating candy all the time, looking at beautiful people and beautiful houses and stuff, and we're steeping ourselves in something we don't have ourselves. And how can that make us happy? We're eating it, but inside we're kind of rotting, because we're not really feeding something that we can attain ourselves. And so I kind of think about that a lot, because I don't comb my hair a lot online. When I do Instagram, and I'm kind of like, I just do who I am who I am. And like, I met like an agent, and they were like, well, I guess a shampoo company wouldn't be interested in sponsoring you. I'm like, what? My hair's okay, right? But I guess it isn't perfect enough for a sponsor. But I'm like, well, I don't want to show that to the world, because that's not who we are, right? Like, that's not who I am. Like, I'm scooping cat litter during the day. Like, I'm not. we all, and like, I feel myself getting depressed when I'm looking at only these things that I can't get, and I just think it's not healthy. It's not healthy, in a way. But it's human nature, and so what do? You just do what you do.
Yeah.
Right. Be yourself.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. All right, next question. If we could also keep it to one per person, just so I can try and get as many questions in as possible. Thanks, guys.
Sorry, I answered too long. I'll be faster.
No, all good. You good?
Hi, I really love your character in Supernatural.
Thank
I
you.
know this was already kind of asked, but I just wanted to know like what that was like, and did you enjoy it?
What was I like when I was acting on it?
Or like what was like filming it like, and like
What was
just
the
being
atmosphere
there?
like?
Oh, the atmosphere. Okay, everybody wants to know if Jared and Jensen pranked me. I didn't understand why people asked me this question the longest time, until I had a scene with Misha, and they wet willied him the whole time when he had close-ups. And so I was like, oh, this is what people were talking about. The atmosphere was awesome, because Jared and Jensen are such good actors. They could be laughing and pranking each other, and then action, and then it's like tear. They're like so good at just switching on. And I just love them. They're just really kind, like cool, but they take care of their set, and they were kind, and they treated everyone like an equal. Like some sets, it's like, oh no, the actor's on set, and they don't know the name of the crew, and they don't really treat anyone like they're, it's different. It's a very like they're royalty, and then everybody else is, just working for them. But Jared and Jensen, everybody was just doing a job, and that's what I really appreciate it. And they taught me that that's really important because everybody's working really hard. In fact, the actors might work the least hours on the set. And so to really honor that filmmaking is collaborative, yes, the actors are kind of the focal point, but everybody who puts it together is just as important, is really something they taught me that I always cherish. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to go back over this side.
What was your favorite scene and costume?
From Supernatural? Okay. Well, I mean, it's really hard to say. Like, I love that first scene where I'm dancing in the elevator and that outfit. I actually had that shirt. Yeah, I do. The wardrobe gave me that one and the Lion Cat one. And then he gave me a shirt that I didn't actually wear. I was like, oh, this isn't Charlie's, but okay, I'll get it. Yeah, but it's really nice. I have that Princess Leia shirt and the Lion Cat shirt, which was made especially for the show. Because Robbie Thompson, the creator of Charlie and the writer of all my episodes until I died, he's a big comic fan. He writes a lot of comics. So I think that's one of my favorite scenes. There was a scene that I really loved because I had done most of my scenes with Jensen. And there was a scene I did with Sam toward the end of my old Charlie run where we did a scene in a cabin. And I loved acting with Jared so much because he's just there. There's no acting involved. He's just so present. And it was a real revelation because really Charlie and Dean's relationship is so close in those first couple seasons. And to have that moment with Jared was like really wonderful. So that's one of my favorite scenes. I know it's small and it's not like a big scene, but it really meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Back over here.
Hello.
Yep.
The story you were telling earlier about kind of your daughter and sort of the no role models and fairy tales really jumped out to me because we have a 3-year-old daughter dressed as Sonic up the back. And my question is, do you have any kind of role models, be they fictional characters or otherwise, that you are planning on introducing to your daughter kind of as she grows up? Because we're looking at that kind of stuff now,
Oh, wow. That's really nice. I mean, we read a lot of we do read a lot of fairy tales and mythology. I really love it. It's really hard, like you can't, and I wasn't going to show her Disney, but I'm like, if I don't show her Disney, she's not like normal, she isn't a kid who can relate to other kids. So like for me, when I had a kid, I noticed how all girls are described as beautiful in every book. It doesn't matter. It's just really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I'm like, I just pointed out to her, I'm just like, wow, does she need to be beautiful? Or why are all girls beautiful? Like, why do we always say everybody needs to be beautiful? Why do people need to care about being beautiful? Because the boys don't have to care about being beautiful. So for me, like, you can't really fight what culture is telling us, but you could just point it out so that at least they have sort of like, should you wake up and marry the first guy you see? Probably not. Like, that's probably a tip. You know what I'm saying? And I try to do it in a funny way. Now she's in a rebellious phase where she just wants princesses all the time. I'm like, okay, you be you, man. So for me, I just like really do my research. And the one thing I do a lot is when I'm reading her books, I change the pronoun. I either say they only, or I change a he to a she, because it really is remarkable when you do that, how stories starring boys are so much different than stories starring girls. The kind of stories that boys star in, they mess up a lot. They're very, bold. They do all these, they're messy. There's a lot of things that I think are better lessons than the girl characters who are a lot more conforming and pleasing other people and things like that. And it just, thinking about children's books like that, I'm not like some radical, person trying, I just try to represent and not, play into stereotypes. And I'm like, oh, from a very young age, we're told what we need to be, but that's all arbitrary, right? And the only thing I could do for her is just empower her with knowledge. And then she's going to rebel against me and become a princess, I'm sure. And that's fine. I'm like, great, we'll paint it pink. I don't care. Cool. So anyway, people ask me this a lot. I'm like, as long as you're conscious of it, That's the best thing you can do. That's all you can do.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for being a good parent.
Thanks, Cian, and great outfit. Next over here.
Hi, how's it
Nice
going?
shirt, by the way.
So
Hi. Can you hear me?
yeah,
Big fan, by the way. I loved Supernatural.
thank you.
But before I ask the question, funny thing about Supernatural, how I heard from it was the Scooby Doo episode.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I wasn't in that one.
So I watched the Scooby Doo episode, and then after I watched that, I started from the first season, and it took me half a year
I know.
to finish the whole series.
It's a lot of episodes.
Like 15 series.
That's not my
altogether.
fault.
It took me half a year, by the way.
You told me.
Yeah, just like, oh my god, I cannot believe it just ended. I can't believe it. It just ended. And by the way, I was not okay with the way you were killed off.
I've heard that a lot today, and I really
mean, like,
appreciate that.
Spoiler alert.
Thank you.
I mean, you were killed off by the Frankenstein family.
I mean, it's true. I could have fit out that window.
I mean, like, if I was one of the writers, I would say that you've been killed off by one of the witches.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I would definitely
Go
see
write that
you-
fanfic, okay?
I would definitely see you do that. One of the witches killing you
Sure.
off.
I
No.
appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. I didn't want to die off. I was
Yeah.
very traumatized by that.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I have to say, it's a brilliant show, and I have to ask, who were you more related to in the show? Dean, Sam, or Castiel?
Well, I only had one scene with Cass ever.
Yeah.
It was right before I died. I said, "Are we gonna? Oh, did we just become best friends?" And then they killed me the next episode. So, I guess we didn't. I think there were some amazing episodes with Charlie and Dean, and that relationship was so beautiful. And the one regret I have is that when they brought me back as Apocalypse Charlie,
Oh yeah.
a version, which is awesome, I was so grateful. I cried when I walked on set because it really felt like coming home. But we didn't really have any room to develop that character in a way, especially to recapture that relationship between Sam and Dean. I had a wonderful episode where I got a whole scene in a car with Jared and Sam, Jared, who he farted a couple times, and he also showed me a lot of Instagram videos of people falling off things.
I love the whole montage where you're coming out in different clothes.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah, it was so fun. But yeah, the one thing if I could just go back, I was really angry toward the end. I was like, "You're not giving me a moment." And at the very last episode, I cry when Dean, and I really had a hard time doing that scene because I'm like, you didn't give me the opportunity to know him. So I had to kind of invent a bunch of stuff that happened off camera. But anyway.
I would love seeing an episode with you and what's the witch's name again?
Oh, Rowena. Well, we were supposed to go on a road trip together, and
Yeah,
that's
I would love seeing
that's the fanfic you need to go write. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Sort of you two, okay? The witch and the
Yeah.
bounty hunter or something.
Yeah, that would be. Listen, spinoff. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
We have time for just two very quick questions left. So I'm
Okay,
sorry to anybody
two
else
very
doing the
quick
queue.
questions. I'm sorry.
We'll go one here and one here. So there you go.
Just
be
the
super
ladies.
So you were just talking about like your effect on like geekdom and just nerds everywhere. And I just want to know, like, when was the point where you realized that you had had such a big effect on the access for female presenting, non-binary folk, like in the fandom? Like, when did you realize that you were such an inspiration for people to actually get involved in things?
I mean, it was honestly just after Charlie. Well, no, it was when I started doing conventions. That's why I love conventions, because I get to hear from you guys how my work affects you. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to hear, people of all walks of life saying, I was too embarrassed to call myself a gamer, and you really made me brave enough to tell people I was a gamer at work, or I decided to become a computer programmer in college because of you, and I came out to my parents because of your character. And it really is. I'm not setting out to be a revolutionary. Like, I'm not.
You kind of are.
I'm just
though.
trying to tell a good story. And like Codex was me at a certain time when I was addicted to video games and I was really depressed because I couldn't find acting work. And that was it. I just wanted to show people that I'm not just a weird character who pops in and is weird and the other characters get to react in and then you go away. I wanted to own my own story and show it to the world. And I think if you're an artist or a creator, that's what's really important about what you make. You need to make something that nobody else can make. You see the world, every single person in here sees the world in a different way and has an experience that nobody else has experienced. And you, through your writing or art or crochet, whatever it is, get that out into the world while you have a chance, because nobody else can do it. And if you want other people to understand you and your perspective on life, then art is the best way to do that. So I'm so grateful to have played the characters I play, and thank you for asking that question.
Thank you. And finally,
Hi.
Hi.
I just you were like one of my favorite characters in Supernatural, and
Thank you.
I think I spent half a season thinking like, surely she's gonna come back. Surely she didn't just die off like that.
Oh.
But yeah, I had was there ever like a celebrity you were like really kind of like terrified to meet?
Was I what?
a celebrity that you were kind of nervous to meet, or
Oh, nervous to meet. Oh, yeah. I mean, Winona Ryder, I was a little bit nervous to meet because she's like a god. Like, she's probably me to somebody who loves no, way more. I was like super. I mean, she's like she was the odd girl when I was a kid, and I looked up to her when I was, 10, 11. Like, there was nobody else out there who was like, oh, she's cool and she's weird and like she's not like everybody else. And like yeah. So I mean, I met Obama and I was nervous. There's some people where you're just like, oh, they're just life side. But most of the time, I'm more nervous meeting writers like Neil Gaiman and Pat Rothfuss and George R.R. Martin. I'm kind of friends with them now, but like when I first meet them, I was like, oh, because people who build worlds like that are really the people I fan out over. Actors, I'm like, I know what you do, man. Although there's some people like Julia Roberts, I would be like, oh my God, it's Julia Roberts. Or like Harry Styles.
Anyway, a lot of people can relate to that last one.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, well, thank you. Thanks for asking that question.
Honestly, guys, I can't believe I have to actually call it now, but please put your hands together and thank Miss Felicia Day.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. I hope to meet you this weekend.
Stay tuned. We're going to have Andy McCarroll back on stage momentarily with Charles Martinet.